Hey, guess what? We've got a great guest today, Elizabeth Yeo. Yeo, yes, it's spelled Y-E-O, but it's Yeo. And I want to bring her on right now and chat with her and say welcome to Elizabeth, welcome, Elizabeth. And,
Hello. Thank
and
you.
thank you so much for sharing some time with us today on the Voice of the Veterans show. And now you and we met last month at the VFW San Fernando VFW Women Honoring Women Veterans event. Isn't
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right?
That is
It was a
correct.
happy event. It was
It was
fun, and you got
so
an award.
fantastic. So
Yeah,
fantastic. Yes,
and you got an
yes.
award.
I
And
did. Yes, ma'am. Two
congratulations
awards. I
on
got
that.
two.
Where were they from? Who were they from?
One was from the city of Los Angeles,
That's
and
right.
one was from the assembly members. One of the assembly members for the state of California. So, and
Excellent.
I did not know I was getting those. So, what a blessing and a great surprise.
Yes, absolutely. And congratulations on that. And I mean, when I met you, I just said right off the bat, Elizabeth, you need to do the podcast. And here you are. I mean, it hasn't been very long, and I'm so happy that you're here today. Now, I understand that you are the founder and the CEO of Veteran Charities Initiative. Did I get that name correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Yes.
why don't you just tell me in your own words about the mission of that, and how in the world did you ever determine that businesses needed this kind of setup for veterans? So I'll just throw things in there as I think of something else. I'll just interrupt you, but just kind of go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity and honor and being able to share today. Thank you so much, Gail. Yes, our mission is to help companies realize the benefit of having women veteran leaders in the ranks of their organizations. That is our mission. I have been out for 30 years now, and when I got out, I was just hitting my 20s, and went right into corporate America. I went to one job fair and ended up landing a position in IT back in the day with one of the big 5 accounting firms at that time. So over the 30 years, I have worked with one recruiter or staffing agency after another. And that's both for veterans, like just military focused type placement agencies, and civilian. And the one caveat that I saw that really changed the whole trajectory for me was that I always see veterans organizations helping veterans because the transition is hard, as we all know. It's a difficult one when we get out. Some of us go in as kids, like I did. I was only 19, so I really hadn't. Right, I never had to interview for a major job, and I never, I didn't have that experience, and most don't. Really, when you think about it, we go in as kids and we come out as adults, and there's no training or transition readiness, if you will, for us coming out. So when you get out, you just do what you know, or maybe someone told you. And my thing was to jump right into IT and corporate, as was my MOS. So I found that I was always not being paid what I was worth. I always found that the jobs I was being offered were very low level, not really realizing or placing me for the skill set that is very vast that we have as military veterans.
Now, I have a question right there for you. I have a quick question just came to my mind. What did you do in the military? You were in the Navy, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's right. Now, you were in the Navy. What was your job in the Navy?
My job was I was a cryptology technician operator. I was part of the C-suite. Yeah, I worked in Intel.
I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
so,
and why don't you tell the people in our audience what cryptology is?
In today's terms and layman's terms, it's really cybersecurity. I mean, that is what it is. And back then in the 90s, nobody had ever heard the word cryptology. So it wasn't like an easy translation for me or a job. Nobody could really explain nor understand what I could do. It was it was very difficult, the transition. So one one of our many times the intel is co-located, as you know, with people from Lockheed, space engineers, people who do satellite work. So a lot of our communications is satellite based. So my only saving grace was that I worked with a Lockheed space engineer. He was a part of our team, and he
look
really,
at you.
yes, ma'am, and he is the one who helped prep me and got me ready for when I was getting ready to exit out. Showed me how to write a resume, helped me to understand what my skills were as it translated into an IT environment. And if I would not have had that, God only knows how long it would have taken me even then to get where I am today.
Well, so basically you didn't have any transitional things like the TAP program or like Rocio Palmero at US.
Oh my, there was none of that.
Transitional Tuesday. Yeah, none of that existed. We're lucky to have all that going on with Rocio and the group there at US Vets. But go ahead, just go ahead. I'm just thinking all this stuff as you're saying.
I love it. I love the dialogue. So
no, exactly. Go for it.
So I found that, I felt like a similarity that I use often is that transitioning out of the military is very similar to aging out of foster care. It's like, here's your DD-214. Thanks for your service. Get your bag of stuff. We'll dump you wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay. Yeah, stick a pin in a map, and
that's it. You're done. You're done.
Exactly. There's no help. There's no transition. There's no supportive services. It was none of that then. And so I just went to a staffing agency. I went to a recruiter. I went to job fairs all on my own, and learning by trial and error all these years that the missing piece was that the organizations, the businesses, although they may be willing to hire veterans, they have no idea what a veteran is. They don't understand the mindset of a veteran. They don't understand the background of a veteran. It's a very skewed and narrow view of what a veteran even looks like. So I ask people in my audience when I'm speaking to them a lot of times, pull out your phone and Google the word veteran or military veteran. And what images come back for you? I mean, do you see a lot of people that look like me or you, Gail? Or do you see a lot of men in combat on the field or old men who already retired? It's very few faces in the crowd that look like us. And people
or when you walk in with your husband, if he may even be a civilian, and they'll. How many times has that happened to you? I have a friend. Let me tell you this. I have a friend, right? Christina Garcia, right? Yes. I'm gonna tell this story. As cute as that. So anyway, Christina Garcia goes in to get a prescription filled, right? And they turn right to her husband and have all the conversation with her husband. And she goes, I'm the veteran. I am the veteran. And it happened to her 3 times in one weekend at the pharmacy, I think at a clothing store, and I can't remember the other place. Now, the other thing I want to say is one day, now my husband and I were both veterans. Okay. But we went to a service organization. It was the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. And they said, we want to introduce a couple today. One is airborne and the other one is in ASA, Army Security Agency. They all went running up to my husband and said, hey, I understand you're airborne. He said, no, that would be my wife. That went on all the time. So I just think you'd appreciate that. Does that happen to you?
It's happened to me so many times in 20
years. Okay, good.
I can't. I don't even keep count. It's almost become expected. Like, I just say, no, it's me. I'm the one, hello. So, it's
I'm the veteran.
Yeah. Right. And even when I got out, even then, IT, there weren't a lot of women in IT then. So when I was in IT, I was one of only, all my team was men and it was me. And, so it was, even at that point, I was still, not regarded as, one of an equal level playing field. And I feel like it's still that gap. Even today, it's less, it's getting better, but there's still a huge misunderstanding on the corporate side about what value veterans bring in leadership positions in their organizations. Because especially now in this divisive time that we're in, we're very divided as a nation. We're very divided on so many levels, so many issues. And no one really looks to the veteran community to kind of really bridge that, heal that, bring people back together, because we're nonpartisan. That's what we do. That's what we were really trained to do. We go into wherever we're told. We don't pick sides. We do our job. We get out.
That's right.
Period. That's it. And so right now, people really need to look to what are the values that veterans bring to the table. I mean, we're always looking at, and the misconception is comparing us to U.S. college graduates that just come out of school, go to college, and come in for the job. We're not the same. We are, and many of us are college graduates on top of being a veteran. And so it's a very skewed way of how they interview us, the questions you ask. We're not necessarily self-advocators. We're not taught to do that. Our military nature is not to advocate for self at all. So we're very selfless servants. That's what we're taught and ingrained in us is to think that way. So when we get out without having some transition, some undoing of some of those mindsets to be able to, acquiesce into the civilian sector, it's very difficult. And so I think it would be beneficial, I know, which is why I created this company, is to go in for an educational voice for the veterans, especially women veterans, because even though we might be in leadership positions, we still are in minuscule percentages compared to our male counterparts, our brothers and sisters, right?
Now, what is it? Now, I know for a fact, because I remember you've been out for 30 years. I went to jump school in 1977, so excuse me. But I remember them saying, at the time that women were 7% of the overall active duty military force. Is it 14 now? I think it is.
It's 17%.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So
I knew it
was.
We're inching up
there.
And isn't it also the fastest growing minority group?
Yes.
Go for it. Tell me more about that.
We are the fastest growing minority group within the military and the fastest growing business group, the sector of women veteran business owners in the civilian sector.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that's growing as well. It's like 300 plus businesses have come into play since 2012. And so we're going crazy. Especially after COVID, it's like we're realizing, and I wrote a book a couple of years back, and I mentioned that a lot of veterans.
Wait a minute now. What was the name of it?
It was a Money Matters series called Business. It was the Business Leaders Edition for the Money Matters series. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I wanted to make sure and hear about that. I might want. Go ahead. Tell me what you're telling. Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, a lot of us become business owners out of necessity. It's hard for us to transition into a good civilian role. A lot of times, we don't translate well what we did sometimes, or it's hard to find a good fit for us. We're leaders naturally. So when we have to go in and not have that type of a position, sometimes it's very difficult. And just becoming an entrepreneur out of necessity ends up being the case. That was the case for me. I needed to have income, take care of my family, and I didn't have time to wait around for somebody to recognize all the skills I had. I just had to be the change and put them to work. And so that's what I'm here to encourage my veteran brothers and sisters to do, especially women, because naturally women are not self-advocators. We have that caretaking role, and we have to, kind of play those qualities into our strengths as well, and stand for and command, what we deserve and what we're worthy of.
Now, tell me what kind of companies are you working with or working on contracts with? I mean, exactly how does that work? I mean, are you directly dealing with them, or is this something you go through the VA and the government with?
No.
I mean,
I'm directly. It's directly. I want to be one-to-one with the actual C-level execs, decision makers. That's who I want to connect to. I'm looking to be not just a placement agency. A lot of people will place veterans and then they're on their own. But as you and I know, veterans need a lot of support. They need support to sustain, period. So we want to be that company because we understand the veteran mindset. We understand the veteran need. We also want to continue supportive services inside that corporate space because a lot of corporations either don't provide it or cannot provide it. And that's understandable. That's not their focal point, but it is ours. So if we can partner with, and that's what I look to do, I'd like to partner with you to be your supplier of supportive services for the veterans you may already have staffed and or help you attain more veterans to provide staffing, to fill your staffing needs and continue those supportive services for the new hires as well.
Interesting. So you shadow the veterans to what level? Do you just follow up with them to see what's going on, or if they need help at the VA, do you refer them to medical? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is the supportive services I'm talking about, all encompassing. So my job in my company is to go out and make sure I'm making these partnerships and alliances with organizations like your next guest coming up, Olivia, who helps veterans if they need help getting their benefits, if they have a problem that they need some services for. I want to be that one-stop shop for them. They shouldn't have to go all around while trying to focus on doing their job for that organization, looking for whatever they may need at any given point. I'd like to be a resource and provide those connections to those vets that are staffed there.
So would you actually, I'm just trying to get a handle on this now, would you actually play, you know I'm going to ask another question, I can't help myself. No, this is wonderful. So would you actually like place a person with that company who's a veteran that might, like, for instance, I'm a VSO at the hospital. I don't know if you know that or not, but I think maybe we've talked about it. I don't know.
A little bit. Yeah.
Veteran service officer helps. I'm just saying it for the people watching. Veteran service officer, a VSO, is someone that a veteran comes into to establish an intent to file on a claim and gets that paperwork over and started out with the VA over in the federal building or the federal building office or whatever it might be at any given VA, but it's pretty much the same thing. And they're middle and at the federal building. So would a VSO, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about VSOs in general. Otherwise, I'm not pitching for a job here.
We'd love to have you, Gail.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, maybe. Yeah, American Legion won't like that right now. Let me know. So would it be a possibility that a VSO would actually be located or in a business so that the veterans could come and see them right there at their work location? I see Kathy Cash there. Thank you, Dr. Kathy Cash, for watching the show. Yeah, you know her too. That's what I'm saying. Hey, Kathy. All right. Yeah. But anyway, is that something that might happen? Because veteran service officers are, I'm going to say this too for the audience, they're located at the individual service organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. They will have office hours maybe, at a Tuesday here and a Wednesday at another location or whatever. They kind of move around. So would that be something?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, because good.
Many corporations, and we're talking about big corporations here that could actually, accommodate that. A lot of small businesses might not be able to accommodate or need that, but bigger businesses, Fortune 100, 500, they could actually accommodate that. And so that's what I'm talking about. They don't know about this. They don't even understand what possibilities they have in making sure that their veterans that they employ are serviced and have access immediately if they need it. It would be so helpful to have it on site instead of having to take off work. You lose man time, man hours. They have to drive. They might have to take a day off. Whereas if you know that this rep is going to be there Monday or Tuesday of every week, hey, you can make it right on site, make it all convenient. They can go right back to work, do it on their lunch break, do it after work, before work. I mean, we want to be able to give options to our veterans because there's a lot of turnover, with veterans in the civilian sector. It is. And a lot of it is just trying to maintain, go get through the transition. And a lot of times we're wasting our own time looking for services that we need or not realizing what services are out there that provide supportive services that we need. It's just such a huge, area that one person cannot possibly, nor has time to try to figure out and go through trial and error of what really works and what doesn't, what service is really, legit and what one doesn't even care. So that's where we want to just stopgap that. We want to be that bridge, and working with you and working with others who provide services to veterans. This is what we want to do. We want to go into their space and educate them on the value of this, because in turn it saves them money on the bottom line, because you're not going to have the turnover. You're not going to have the hours missed. Work days have to be missed, things of that nature.
I understand. So retainability of veterans, and when I think about it, we've talked a lot about homeless issues on this show, and that's going to keep that from happening as much, because if somebody's there to actually support them And I mean, the VA is a confusing place. And
Yeah.
you know, this show, I always try to be positive about the VA, and some days it's difficult.
I know.
It's just difficult because I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I personally, and this is about firsthand experience at the VA, this show. So anything you want to say on that after I say this, please do. But again, be positive, I've had people walk in the front door, or found them crying in their car, because they just can't even figure out where things are.
Right.
Right. And it's this new transitional letting your breath out. This is tough.
Right.
I was just a so-and-so, and now I don't even know where I fit into things these days,
Absolutely.
And I'm hearing you. This is a huge thing. And that's what I think, you're talking about big, like Booz Hamilton Allen and, big companies, or Toyota or whoever.
These are companies that do mass hirings. These are companies that really do, hire veterans. Smaller companies do as well. And I'm all for all companies, no matter who it is that wants to hire, no matter the size. But the bigger ones, it's harder. It's harder for us in that mega corporate space. I've been there. I've lived that. I've done that. So I understand that. And I know if I would have had these services, Gail, because I've been that person sitting outside the VA crying in my car. Okay.
Oh, so you know. Okay.
Yes,
no, it's real, and they don't know what else to do. You're just praying for a buddy to come out and tap on the window and say, "Are you okay?
Right.
What can I do to help you? Do you need to just find the restroom?" I mean, seriously,
right?
It's that big of a deal.
It is. It is that big of a deal, and so that's why. I don't see many companies doing what I created this company to do. I've been there. I've been in the corporate space all this time. So I know it's not there. And I know we need it there, because I'm sure that it would have helped save me from walking away from a job many years ago. I probably would still work there if I would have had some support, some resources, some options, just to educate me on what my possibilities were, where I could go, but you get frustrated. It's hard, and you need a buddy. You need that. So that's what I'm looking to be in that corporate space, because it's not there, Gail.
No. And I'm wondering even if, there are situations, and I don't even know if this is reasonable or possible to mention, but if we can't imagine it, we never know what we're capable of doing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I'm even wondering if the PTSD group or veteran, weekly group session would be something in these larger corporations where somebody could go to the actual location and they could meet as a group, so they know who the other veteran, where they're working. You know what I mean?
A lot of times I ask I'm talking about these owners, company owners, CEOs, CFOs. How many veterans do you have working for you now? Are you open to hiring veterans? Yes, we love hiring veterans. That's fantastic. Well, what percentage of veterans do you currently have on your helm right now? Oh, I don't know. You don't know.
They don't know.
So, that's something you need to know. This is a very, veterans are set apart. We really are. Okay. We went to the call of duty, especially when you served, Gail. I mean, you set the way for me and women after me. We're constantly trying to improve it for the next generation. But it shouldn't stop when we get out. We have got to continue that. And it's only our voice that can really carry that into that space. So that's what I'm here to do.
I love that. I love that. And I love your work, and congratulations. And what a great thing. And I want to just share one thing before we to you, because I was just going to use it as a little transitional note. But, this VSO note that I have here about revoking your power of attorney. Do you know that if you have an outside attorney, and VSOs are free of charge, but attorneys take a certain percentage of our benefits when we finally get benefits, and there might be a check with, I can't even think of the word, where you get back pay. That's what I was
Okay.
trying to think of.
Sure.
It never happens anymore. So you know what I'm saying? I forgot the word. So when you get back pay, you sign a contract for a certain percentage that attorney will get from that money.
Right.
Now, let's say that you don't want to use that attorney anymore because it's taking too long, or you want to sign a power of attorney with somebody like me or VFW, American Legion, and you want to sign that POA, power of attorney, with them. If you don't fully revoke that power of attorney in writing with a court-stamped letter, that money will be given to them. Check it out. No matter what. And you thought you were going to get all this money because you moved over to a free service VSO at the VA, and now that attorney is still getting their, who knows, 20, 30, 40%, whatever you contracted for. That's a legal contract. And I just always want people to know that it's important to follow through, make sure that that letter is in your records with the regional office or your VSO, so that that doesn't happen to you, because you're going to be one sad, pissed off veteran if you don't know that information, And I suppose that's what people at your work location or office for veterans would know, that kind of thing, and mention these kind of updates and informationally to them, and probably be emailing all the veterans in that business about updates and things.
That's why, in addition to, one of my partnerships and companies I'm aligned to is a legal entity, and I became certified, especially in the small business sector, for employee benefits, because in this day and age, you cannot afford to not know what legalities surround whatever your situations are.
That's
you
right.
need to be informed, and you need somebody who's standing for you on your side, not just some random attorney waiting for the paycheck. So, I'm always looking for services affordable for the everyday man, because every man every day deserves to have legal protection. You shouldn't have to be wealthy, and it shouldn't be out of reach for anyone, because every day we have some type of legal issue. You were signing a contract, you're being mistreated, anything.
Buying a home, everything, what? And these POAs, these power of attorneys, the VA is required, those VA attorneys specifically are required to update those POAs every 5 years. Right. So you really want to be on top of, who you have as an authority about this process, and again, BS mandated by Congress. They can't take a dime for their services, and that's just the way it is. Hey, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really happy that you were here.
Thank you so much.
You have wonderful information, and I look forward to talking with you further and referring veterans to your services and you chatting it up with them, because, just like me, I mean, if you know of something where they need to find a doctor for something, specifically at the hospital, please feel free to call me or text me or whatever. And, let's work together on this kind of thing to just make it, better. For people. I don't want to find any more people crying out in the parking lot. They ought to have a badge, a VA badge. I cried my ass off out in the parking lot one day at the VA, bunch of hairball ballerinas, you know what I mean? Find some courage here, let's muster our courage up together and, help each other out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
all right.
Ma'am.
Well,
yes,
I'm going to say goodbye to you, but not goodbye permanently. And I hope you'll come back and tell me more about any new stuff that's going on. Tell me the name of your book one last time.
Money Matters, Business Leaders Edition, Volume 1.
Money Matters. And by you, right? Not a pseudonym?
Yes, it was a collaborative, and my chapter is chapter 6, a woman veteran from exit to entrepreneur.
Oh, man. You just sounded all kinds of smart.
Fake it till you make it, right?
yeah, fake it till you make it. That's what being courageous is all about. You don't have to be courageous. Now fake it till you make it. That's right.